Good morning, United Kingdom. Good morning. And good morning to everybody on the live drive time session from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every morning with Lakhi Singh, the property fixer and the alternative property business solution community for the United Kingdom. Good morning, Lakhi Singh. What's the weather like there in London, southeast? Right, so we can't hear Lakhi, so we'll continue. We've got the lovely Holly Jennings on this morning, so she's going to definitely add a bit of colour to our morning viewing. Just like yesterday, we were very privileged to have two new listeners, young Samira from Bulgaria and the lovely, I forgot the name now, Trisha, that's right. Trisha from Scotland. So we were talking about Rescue My Properties and how that started. And obviously, once Lakhi Singh gets connected and we can speak to him and hear him, we.
Good morning, morning.
Morning, Lakhi Singh, and good morning to you. What's the weather like there in the United Kingdom, in London?
It's nice and bright and sunny this morning.
Excelente, excelente. Bright and sunny, just like yourself. A sunny, bright person, positive, charged up every day to do business in the square mile and then obviously outside of the mile. We have the wonderful Holly Jennings waiting backstage, and once we have started today's show, we will invite her in. So just hold on to your seats and we'll be waiting for her to be invited in. Yeah, Lakhi. So if opportunity doesn't knock, the saying of the week is build a door. So you say you build doors all the time, but you've got to know what size, what color, what material. Obviously, a man of the deep thinking, a very organized, a very prolific individual, like you think you're a successful businessman in the square mile. And obviously, you don't take many prisoners. You're nobody's fool. You're a very senior, serious business person who knows how to do his work and is strong and transparent and clear enough to answer everyone's questions. So yes, Lakhi, if opportunity does not knock, knowing that you have the size, the color, the material, all in your head, which is about planning and being organized, do you build your own door then, knowing what size and color and material you want that door to be?
Well, I can't see any reason why not.
Okay, that's a very short answer. Sounds a bit like Donald Trump. Anyhow, we have now the continuation of the story of Lakhi Singh and the Rescue My Property issue. So tell us, Rescue My Property is a website. You've told us already there's key features in the website. How was it? Tell us the journey that you went through to start developing the various facets to Rescue My Properties. Because I'm sure when you first created Rescue My Property, it wasn't that what it is now. And you've gone through a metamorphosis of changes and discussions and modeling. So when you opened it up, what was it basically at that time, Rescue My Properties? To answer that question, we will invite in Holly Jennings, the lovely Holly Jennings backstage, like Maria Carey and Mr. Luther Van Ross inviting her in, the lovely Holly Jennings. Can you please show yourself?
Hello, can you see me?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Great. Okay, Holly Jennings, what part of the United Kingdom are you from?
We are based in Sheffield.
So there's lots of little Holly Jennings also with you, little mini Holly Jennings.
Me being
So how many?
my partner Nick.
And your partner Nick, right? Okay, that makes sense. What part of UK are you? Say that again.
Sheffield. We moved.
Sheffield, lovely Sheffield.
I'm originally from Plymouth, down
North.
south.
Okay, that's a big jump across. I assume it's because of your loving boyfriend or partner.
We actually moved because of property. We actually decided to move to our investment area.
Okay, very bold step to take. I mean, that takes focus, because most people like to operate in the area that they are used to. Why did you choose Sheffield, and what was so special about Sheffield?
We
Is
started.
it you got the metal industry?
Started back in 2018, February 2018, and we did a course. So we learned a bit about property. We didn't have any experience before. And I met my partner in London. So I'd moved to work in London. And we were just kind of looking at areas to invest in, the way that you kind of get taught. And there wasn't lots going on down in London where we could afford at the time. So we were kind of reaching out. So we kind of narrowed it down, really. We kind of found 10, then we found 5 areas, then we researched 3, and it ended up being Sheffield for us. We were always taught that, you have to pick somewhere that you liked as well. So we visited Sheffield a lot and we really liked it there. And we thought, okay, and we kept doing the journey and backwards and forwards, 3 hours up, 3 hours back. There was kind of no weekends for fun. It was all work. But then we decided, actually, why not take the leap? We were actually able to move our jobs up there, and actually moving to Sheffield meant that I could actually do property full time.
Excellent. That's still, let's look, very brave. And I think it speaks a lot in terms of people who have the ability to take those leaps of faith. And even though it's only, 3 hours up the road, in UK terms, people who are used to living in the same city their whole existence, it's a big thing to do. Coming from Plymouth, going to Sheffield. Okay, before I ask you anything, I've got a whole lot of people sending. We've got a whole host of people probably falling in love with you, Holly. Lots of hearts coming forward for us, which is great. Good news. Obviously, they're being deflected off me and they're being sent to you. No one's sending me a heart. I don't think I'm good looking enough. But Lakhi Singh, do you think any of those hearts are yours? Or do you think Holly is the one who's earning all those love hearts?
I think Holly sounds like, I think she's a TV broadcaster, isn't it, Holly? Good Morning like Britain, is it? Or
yeah, that's Holly.
So she's already quite famous. I think she's getting all the love hearts.
Well,
so thanks,
you see,
Holly, for coming on. And
yeah, you're making a big difference.
Good Morning Britain, I think.
Sharing love. Okay, so you've left the job. Is that what you're saying? And your boyfriend's still working? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So to move into Sheffield meant that I was able to afford to go into property full time. My partner still works, but he works in IT, so he's very flexible, so he can work from home. So that kind of gave us that kind of opportunity, really. And what was really good is 2 years on, because his background's IT, he's actually created a fantastic system called Property Pipeline. It's a CRM system that helps investors log.
Oh, don't say the CRM word. You'll find Lakhi Singh will shrivel up. His superpowers will be taken away from him. Don't say the A word and don't say the CRM word. That is going to remove all the superpowers from Lakhi Singh. I think she's done that. She's Lois Lane, Lakhi. She's been sent.
Yeah, definitely. CRM is my kryptonite.
Superpowers away. Okay, Holly. Kryptonite. I'm sorry I butted in. Go and continue.
No, it was just the fact that, yeah, he's made that, so that's kind of helped to open up another avenue to help other investors and sourcing agents. And we do sourcing up here, we do lettings and management, we help people that aren't based in the area to do their refurbs for them as well. So we manage those, and we focus mainly on buy-to-lets, but we've just started to get into a bit of more creative things, HMOs, looking at farms, that type of thing. So we're kind of branching out, and we work with other people as well to do rent to SA, so that's quite exciting. So we've and then well, actually, I say it's 2 years. Probably we did all of that activity. The first year was mainly education, because we think education is key, and we had loads to learn. And then the second year was doing all of the stuff that I've kind of just mentioned, really. So it's been.
Well, that's interesting, because yesterday's speakers as well were of the same mindset. They thought that the courses and the learning, the training is important to understand the risks in property. And I think that's the same type of advice that Lakhi Singh gives lots of new sort of coming in new entrants into property, that it's important for you to know the risks that you're getting into. So, okay, Lakhi Singh, Holly seems extremely, personality-wise, extremely focused and clear. It seems like she's got the right model there in terms of a property exploits. What do you say about Sheffield? What do you think about Sheffield? Is it a good place to be in, or is it a bit of a, a 50-50 or a 20-80? What do you say about Sheffield? What's new and upcoming or special about Sheffield?
Yes, I think you can make your mark in any market anywhere in the UK. So Sheffield is good a place as any. So it all depends on the reasons they've moved there. So they must have done their homework, done their research. I mean, it may be that there's pockets of Sheffield where there's a good demand for rental, and there's probably pockets there where there's a good demand for buying and flipping properties. So whatever their reasons are, they've done their homework. One that's probably the unique selling point, and what they decided they wanted to do that they probably enjoy the most is probably the bit that Sheffield probably serves them. So I'm guessing that there's certain things there that aren't really that common or being done. So I think it's probably like a fresh territory for them to exploit, because Sheffield probably is quite a small. It's not like a massive city. It's quite some ways more of a town, I would say. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like well, it's a city, but it's got that town vibe, really kind of local feeling. Everyone kind of knows people, and you kind of bump into people a lot, and everyone's so friendly, and it's just a really, really nice place to live.
Well, I think that's common across the Holly. That's probably common across the north anyway. The north is a bit more chillaxed, a bit more relaxed, a bit more community orientated. So what was it then? The question that Lakhi raises is, you went to Sheffield, there's something special about Sheffield, or something that you picked up on. So what was it? Was it a personal thing? Was it pure business? Was it just pure looking at the numbers, looking at a growth strategy, looking at the city that has something new up and coming? What was the reason? Why Sheffield then?
It was definitely the number. So 2 years ago, we actually were finding properties, 3-bed properties for 65,000, and the rent we could get for them was 595. Yeah. So and actually there's another one that we've just refinanced that we got for 65, and because it's a bigger house, we can make that into like a 4-bed kind of house, multiple occupancy, and we should be making about 1,600 with that one once that one's rented out. So that's about a 41% return on investment, maybe a bit more even. So the rental market's really good here, and the property prices are fairly low. Although saying that, with everything that's been going on this year, the prices have increased. So it's definitely a little bit harder. So we're now looking at a bit more direct vendor. We're looking at other creative stuff like the bigger projects rather than your normal buy-to-lets now, because of where the market's been going.
Excellent. Okay, so you looked at the numbers. The average yield is slightly better than the rest of the country, or at least better than what we know to be the rest of the country. And there may be other pockets that have got an equally good yield, if not better. And you've also said that it's a refurb type of a model. So you're acquiring, refurbing, value adding, and then renting. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. So we find
so
anything
you're not
that's
flipping anything? Pardon?
Sorry, I was just saying, yeah, we find anything that's a little bit tired. So anything tired, needing a bit more TLC, then we increase the value by doing a refurb. And we normally spend anything from
TLC
and up to 30,000. We wouldn't go too much higher than that for something like that strategy.
Okay, so you've got this very tight, you've got this very clever tight formula, something around the 30 to 60, something that needs TLC. When it means TLC, do you go around and sort of like hug it, the bricks and mortar, or do you sort of go in and share the love on the door? What do you do?
Yeah, so it's mainly things like new kitchen, new bathroom, a lick of paint, new flooring. We keep it to a really high standard, actually, in the way it looks, but also affordable for people as well. So it just keeps it nice and clean.
Okay, talking about licking paint. Lakhi, you had a habit, I think, of licking paint a lot when you were a bit of a toddler. Do you lick paint still?
No.
Excellent. And so we're going to give a shout out. We've got Amar Ali, we've got John Smith, we've got Sajal Patel. She's come back. I think she's been on an extended holiday, so she's back. And we've got Sonia, I think, and Meena, yes, all giving it a shout out to Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, the Uber, the mover, the shaker, the maker, the flaker, the quaker. Right, Holly. Okay, what about the rest of the family? Have you left them behind in Plymouth, have you?
I have, yes. They're all based back down there. So it's been quite unfortunate. We've not really been able to see them this year. So I can't wait to see them. It'll be really nice when we can.
Mm-hmm. And do they come up to see you because you're in sunny Sheffield?
Yeah, the last time they came up actually was March, just before everything locked down. We had our engagement party, so it was really nice that we had a big gathering of lots of friends and family, so we were able to see everybody.
Excellent. So you were engaged in March?
We were actually engaged last October, but we didn't get around to having the party until March. So busy.
Okay, I understand. Congratulations anyway, belatedly. We weren't invited. Don't cry about it, Lakhi Singh. We'll accept the fact that she wasn't in contact with us as then, didn't have our number. Right, okay, Holly, so tell me, the saying of this week, one of the sayings at least, is if opportunity doesn't knock, so you don't get that chance, do you build your own door? Have you done that ever? Have you gone out and just built your own door and said, right, making that door, I'm going to knock on it myself and I'm going to open it? Or are you the person who just waits for the opportunity to knock?
Yeah, no, we don't wait. We make our own luck. We make our own future kind of, I guess, what you could call opportunity, because when we did our first refurb, I mean, for one, we moved to the area to ensure that we can get more out of what we were doing. But when we did our first refurb, there's loads of times that I actually see houses run down or broken windows or boarded up, and at times there was one when we were doing a refurb, there was actually someone that actually entered their house that I'd been keeping an eye on, so I literally ran up and actually physically knocked on their door and was like, oh hi, I don't suppose you're looking to sell? And they were like, actually, yeah, we are. So we had a chat, and it didn't quite work in that property, and she said, oh, I can't really negotiate at the moment, but my dad next door can. Have a little chat with him. Would you want to see that property? So then we went into that property, and that was our second investment. But I always knock on people's door, and I'm a bit of a chatter, so I knock on neighbours' doors and everything. So I do that, literally knock on doors.
Excellent. What was your background then, Holly, before you were knocking on people's doors?
Sure. So my background is aesthetics, beauty. I've always been a teacher or a manager of a clinic, helping people through either cosmetic surgery or general skincare.
VJ Sal, that could come in quite handy.
Yeah. Very nice. Little crossfire there from Mr. Singh at the right time. Yes. I mean, so you were in health and beauty then, basically, yes?
Yes, yeah.
And are you still practicing, or have you left that?
I don't have the time, unfortunately. It's my passion. I love it. I really miss helping people. It was always nice just to kind of, have one-to-ones with people, see how they're getting on and helping them feeling their best self. So I do miss that, and I would like to go back to that at some point. But, we've got to be grafting at the moment for our future. So we're just working hard now with property.
Okay, so I think Sheffield...
rent to rents with the beauty clinic thing, where you could do rent to rent SA to beauty clinic.
That's a good idea. I have to take you up on that.
Yeah, that's cramming everything in one house of the clinic.
We are stealing VJ Sal's jokes now.
Yeah, right. Okay, right. The question is, the HS2 project. I think isn't that Sheffield? Isn't that one of the links?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got another reason, I think, that Sheffield's going to become a bit of a hub. Yes, is that right?
It's always growing. There's always new stuff happening here, so it's quite exciting. There's areas where you think, oh, we've missed out on that development that's grown, but there's always something else. And yes, with the HS2, when it comes, it feels like it's forever away. Yes. But yeah, there's always opportunity.
Well, it's just like Lakhi Singh, he says, he always comes right on time, and he never comes before he needs to. Is that right, Lakhi Singh? What do you say? Is HS2 coming to Sheffield? Pardon?
Everything happens at the right time, as they say.
Yes, everything happens at the right time. Right, sir.
Yeah, I think basically, Holly, I think you need to rebrand yourself, Holly. You should be calling yourself the brand ambassador for Sheffield. And you can imagine you'll get a different vibe actually in Sheffield, because you'll be like, when Liverpool hit the city of culture, you should be lobbying for Sheffield being the city of culture. Can you imagine the sort of response you'll get? Can you imagine how many beauty clinics?
Yes.
You could make it like the next sort of cafe, like cafe, Paris cafe sort of lifestyle in Sheffield. And you never know. I think prices might double. Can you imagine if it became a bit more cosmo?
Definitely. Well, there's already pockets that are doing that.
Excelente. Where do you live? Are they in Sheffield?
We live in Sheffield, yeah.
Holly. I'm saying the pockets that are doing that. They what Lakhi suggested, the cafe lifestyle. Have you got pockets of that community going on in Sheffield?
Yeah, definitely.
Whereabouts are you? Are you city centre Sheffield?
Kind of just on the outskirts. There's an area called Kelham Island, which is getting quite nice. Lots of little wine bars and coffee shops and nice kind of delicatessens and cheese shops and things like that. And they do markets there as well, which is great. And then we've also got other areas kind of up near the university, a bit more of the old grander houses that way, a lot bigger near the Botanical Gardens, Ecclesall Road. That Ecclesall Road itself is full of coffee shops. People love it. It kind of reminds me of some areas like walking through Chelsea or walking through Chiswick and things like that when I used to live in London. So there's definitely a bit of a vibe there in different places.
Well, there's a tip for you. What you could do is one of the things I did when I chose an area myself many years ago when I started, is to pick an area that's actually quite low price now, but is going to be the next sort of Hoxton or Brick Lane, where you get all the arty-farty type people turning up and setting up their art shop, because those prices normally go up because they've become quite trendy. So if you can spot that area and buy a few there, they're probably double in price in the next 10 years or so.
Amazing. We hope we've done that a little bit. There is an area that when we first started that have increased quite a lot, but mainly because of it's become more of a a family area. It's very close to the Meadowhall shopping mall as well. So that's also a bonus, having the big mall here.
Okay, so in general terms, Holly, where do you see the 21 going? Because we're in the last month now. Where do you see 21 going for Sheffield? Have you got any large projects on the around the corner? I know you've been in a very, smaller budgeted type of projects. I mean, Lakhi Singh probably spends that type of money on his petrol a year, or possibly more. But I mean, are you looking to go up a notch? Are you doing sort of like from ground upwards? Are you going to be doing, more, from the ground upwards to a block of flats or something? Or are you doing larger stuff? Or are you just happy to stay in the tighter budget under 100,000, but something that is easily completable, and you're going to have the finances freely available, not to rely on anything like bridging or bank finance?
Yeah, so we are looking to grow. We've just kind of getting the keys now to a 6-bed HMO. The purchase price of that was 185. That's more like a 26% return on investment. But it's kind of, that's not a bad one. We are looking for more things like that. We're also looking to do a little bit more development stuff. So as I briefly mentioned earlier, farms and stuff. So we're looking at things with land, looking where we can build from scratch, or to redevelop certain properties into something else, whether that be a family home, or maybe turning something into flats.
Excellent. Okay. So you're now branching out, and this is quite interesting. A lot of the recent viewers we've had on here with the interview, they all seem to be into refurbs and value add. I think that's where the market is. And you said service accommodation. Have you done any serviced accommodation yet, Holly?
Yeah, so we've been doing rent to serviced accommodation. We've got 2 at the moment. We do want to do more. Even with the lockdown, we've managed to keep our properties full. We work in line with the council. Our management agent are really, really good friends of ours, and they've got a great relationship. So they've been filling it with people that are needing temporary housing until they can be moved on to somewhere a bit more permanent. So that's
kind of halfway houses, you mean? Halfway homes? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so I mean, these are quite high-end SAs, but the people that we're helping, they're not kind of high risk or anything like that. It might just be a mother and a baby, or, we're trying to kind of find another home. So they pop them into our apartments for a small amount of time, but it just keeps us fully booked. With lockdown, with the fact that we're not able to have tourism at the moment and things like that, it's really, really good that we can be working with the council and other organisations.
Okay, so what all, last few months, we had this serviced accommodation theme pop up. I don't think anybody's actually asked what serviced accommodations are. Lakhi Singh, can you shed light on what serviced accommodation is, or what it means in London, and what we'll ask Holly later on what she thinks of what it means in Sheffield?
For the layperson who's not that familiar with property, it's a sort of in between of a bread and breakfast and a private rented property. So you don't really get all the frills and bed and breakfast, but you basically get it for a price that's not as expensive as a bed and breakfast. So it's in between of that. So you get things like, let's say satellite TV or something. You get much like serviced every day. The room gets cleaned every day, and you also get a. So it all depends really the level of service you want to buy. But it's serviced. You're servicing the accommodation, a bit like I'd say closest to a bed and breakfast. But you've got access to that room for a long term. So you might be on a 3-month contract. So that's the best way I understand it. I did actually do service 15 years ago.
Is that that an accurate picture of what you're doing with your service accommodation? Are you providing a television, broadband, maybe a cleaning service, maybe laundry service, or is it just basically service because you call it service? You're not really giving them any service.
Yeah, I mean, it's a self-contained unit, so it's a self-contained 1-2 bed apartment potentially. It's more for people that, you know, if a lot of contractors or workers wanted to, you know, their work send them to a hotel, for example, that's a lot of bedrooms that they've got to pay out for that can be quite expensive. Whereas with a 2-bed apartment, it would be the same price for maybe like 1 hotel room. So it's really helping businesses cut down on their costs for businesses that way. When it's service accommodation, we do have really good internet because a lot of people are business as well. And right now, I mean, everybody, even personally, wants to access some sort of Wi-Fi internet. We have Netflix with ours as well, because ours is a bit more, I guess we're trying to make it a bit more luxury, everything that they want in one place. When they arrive, everything's cleaned, but we don't always do the clean every day. If they're there for a couple of days, then it's kind of their place. But when they leave, we then completely renew it, clean it out, ready for the next person.
It's a bit of a contradiction because you're saying council-led tenants. And I think the image that a lot of people are going to get is these are people who probably are on the lower end of the scale in terms of their financial affordabilities. But obviously you can shed light on that, Holly. Tell us, when you get people who are coming in temporary accommodation because they are, what are they, have they been made homeless? Are they just looking to relocate to Sheffield? What type of clients are these?
Yeah, so like and her children just trying to find another home. They're just vulnerable people at this point in time. And the reason why we've gone down this route to help this is because of, obviously, with COVID, the normal market that we'd normally approach isn't always active. So we had to be creative and also branch out and, as you say, knock on doors and create our own opportunities. But working with the council are the other people that fund it. And we've also done discounts and offers for key workers and people throughout this time as well.
Excellent, excellent. So there's a bit of a goodwill state. I think Lakhi's right. You'd probably be a very good brand ambassador for Sheffield. Okay, we're going to shout out from Mandy and we're going to shout out from Sajal says that she will be in contact with you. I think she is getting a flavor, getting a taste for Sheffield. Maybe she'll move up as well and join you there. Sajal's in London. She is one of our favorite financial controllers down in London. Cardigan Tate, I think she works for. But she obviously, excuse me, she's got I think she's caught on to something there. She will be in contact. So you may have, and that's one of the purposes Lakhi Singh opened up the alternative business and property solutions community, is that he's saying in these difficult times, you can just not be cloak and dagger about your contacts and your connections. You want people to mix, match, help each other, and put their little footprint down on trying to revive the economy. Is that right, Lakhi? Isn't that a classic example of why you've opened up all your contact base, you're letting everybody come in and you're letting people talk to each other because you want people to do their little bit in reviving or helping to revive the economy? Yes?
That's absolutely correct. So probably we've got about 15 different groups, including one for I think up the northeast and the northwest and in Yorkshire. So so the opportunity is really for anybody, anywhere in any of the groups to talk to us. And one of the things that we're a little bit late in setting up is actually a panel of 5 experts as well, from the legal field, from property sales, from negative equity, stopping repossession and off-market access, as well as bridging finance. There'll be, in fact, 5 or 6 experts on there, as well as about 20 others related to any industry. So all of that's also going to be implemented. So I'm literally offering access to all my resources and staff and senior contacts with our power team. So it could actually, I mean, one of the things you could be considering is being part of that, the local community in the group in the south. I think it's
no, it goes into Yorkshire. I think. Does it fall into Yorkshire? Does it Sheffield?
It does, yes, Yorkshire.
So you probably join the Yorkshire group.
Set up a special group for Yorkshire. Thank you, Vijay Sal, for pointing that out. So we've got a special group for Yorkshire, so that could be pretty good. So basically, we're able to help with anything that you want, really, because we've also got access to UK-wide deals. We've also got a system that we'll be launching where you can access and match deals anywhere in the United Kingdom. On top of that, we'd be happy to also do a half-an-hour consultation if you're looking for funding, or you're looking for a cleverer way of actually getting lending to scale up, so you're more become the let's just say the Rockefellers of Sheffield. You know, we could help.
Okay, is cleverer actually a word, Lakhi? That's what I'm trying to work out. Anyhow, there's been an understatement, Holly. I think we've been focusing on you. All the hearts and love hearts have been coming in for Holly. But you mentioned something very clever, very, I think, very astute in between your introduction at the very beginning. And that was your boyfriend has devised something called, what's it now? Pipeline? Up Your Pipeline? What was it?
It's Property Pipeline.
Property Pipeline, that's right. So Up Your Property Pipeline. And what does that do? Can't be just a sit. Is it a website? Is it a platform? What is it?
It's like a software that people can use. The reason why we created it was because I was struggling at the time, because I'm out there all the time viewing properties, I'm sourcing, I'm investing, and there wasn't really anything that we could find that was out there on the market that really helped me. And for example, you know, a lot of people tend to log the properties they viewed on an Excel spreadsheet. Sometimes, you know, not everybody that's out there doing the kind of the numbers, their strong point may not be the numbers. So it's an integrated system where you can get the numbers done for you. Within 2 minutes, you can recognize whether this property is a deal or worth viewing or not. And it's all interlinked. You can assign tasks and activities to other people in your team.
Well, why not on scraps of paper, Holly, as lots of people do, just writing notes down and keeping like hordes of paper on each property? Why don't you do it in that? Are you naturally an organized person, Holly, or are you more of a markety, scatty person? What are you?
I definitely think I'm a bit scatty, so I need organising for sure. And even like you say, with the pieces of paper, I had like notes and numbers all over the place. And if I didn't take that piece of paper with me to the viewing, I'd completely forget, and I'd have to always double up. I'd be thinking like, oh, what was the rent in that area? And I mean, I kind of know now, but at the time and as I was growing, it was really, really difficult if I didn't take that stuff with me. Whereas with this particular system, it's all on my phone. If I'm running late and I've got like, because if I'm doing 10 viewings back to back, it can be really confusing on that day whose property's who. So is this with an estate agent? Is this direct to vendor? What were the numbers on that? And you can get a bit kind of overwhelmed with the amount of viewings that you might be seeing in a day. So it's just a really nice.
Are you is your boyfriend or your would-be, is he a to-be husband, is he?
Yes, yeah.
Excellent. Are you using this property pipeline or this CRM? Are you trying to commercialize it, or is it specifically dedicated around his love for you?
Oh, well, it started off that way. So he created it in December. Created it in December.
Vijay does actually crack at least one good joke in the whole of the show.
Flower around you, lovely little CRM flower around Holly.
This time nice and sort of minted. So that's enough, Vijay Sal.
No, I was just saying it's like a lovely flower around her, keeping it nice and snuggled and warm at the fingertip. They created it for you like a little flower, like a bunch of roses, and you're not commercializing it.
We are now, yes. So we decided that it helped me so much, and it was originally just for myself, but we thought if it can help me, it can help others. So we're sharing it now. Property Pipeline.
So you're sharing the love, really. You're sharing the love. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, Lakhi
So
Singh, what do you say
are
about?
you sharing the love, or is it commercial? I'm not quite
She's
clear.
sharing the love.
Sharing the love.
No, she's sharing the love through commercialism. That's what she said. She's commercially sharing the love. A bit
You said
like
that for VJ Sal, it's at least going to cost some money, but for everybody else, it's for free.
exactly. Okay, Lakhi, what do you say to CRMs? Are you a scatty person, writing things on scraps of paper and hoarding them? Or are you more of a organized, disciplined, sharp entrepreneur? As the image is, you're a bit of a numbers man, like to do your account on time, like to keep on top of your numbers, your bottom line. What are you, Lakhi? How does it work?
I think I'm more like a Holly, but not probably as pretty. So yeah, I'm a bit probably, but got quite a good memory, so I can remember all my notes and my numbers. I remember house numbers, addresses, what I said when, who to. So I am actually like a walking database. But I mean, if you've got 10 back-to-back meetings in a day, what needs to happen is that other people need to get that information. So I'm probably like super organizing to make sure I've got all my notes and information. So nothing really slips. So I haven't really slipped on a single number in the last 10 years. So I don't tend to lose numbers, and I remember who people are. So I've got, so I actually pretty rigid about making sure that I collect the information and that my PA then manages the information so that it goes into a system in a more comprehensive way, so they don't get all scatty bits from me.
You're like a shark, you mean? You're like a shark, and Holly is like a little sea lion with a small sharp fin stuck on her back. Is that right, Holly? When it comes to being business, or do you regard yourself as a shark, Holly? Are you really a shark, Holly, dressed in a sea lion wool? Do sea lions have wool? Are you a shark, Holly? Come on, tell us.
A shark in what sense?
Are you a shark? Are you a business? In the sense about the bottom line, you keep your eye on the bottom line and you're all about the numbers. Do you shake hands and count the digits at the same time?
Do you know what? I'm all about people. That's what I'm about. And if I get a good vibe and a feeling, then that's good enough for me. My partner, when you kind of do the course that we did, they kind of teach you about personalities and stuff like that. And my partner's the owl, so he's the one that's the Excel and the live owl, and he's doing all the numbers. For me, I'm the person that's on the ground. I'm actually what they call like a monkey and a lion. I'm a monkey lion.
You're a monkey lion.
I'm a leader. Okay. I'm a leader and I'm fun. So
that's a lot of the things that VJ Sal calls me on the show most of the time.
First time I come across that terminology, you learn a new thing.
So we've got something in common, Holly.
Yeah.
What's a monkey lion? Pardon?
I said that most of the time on the show, I get called a monkey and a lion by VJ Sal. So we've got something in common, Holly.
Yes. Then what bit of you is a monkey, and are you like a circus monkey, or are you more of a cheeky monkey? And the lion bit, are you more like a lion that goes around urinating on your patch to make sure nobody's actually encroaching? Or are you more of a lion in terms of hunting the right property line?
The lion, it's like the leader. I've always been a manager and someone that would like to lead the way and kind of take people under my wing and show the ropes to. I like to set a good example, I guess, would be the lion side, quite dominant and wanting to kind of prove myself and help other people. And then with the monkey side, it's the fun Holly, the people person, always up for a laugh, couple of drinks, that kind of fun. But I always try.
Are you very optimistic, Holly? Are you very optimistic? Are you in your nature? Are you optimistic or are you pessimistic?
Bit of both, actually. I think I'm quite optimistic with a lot of stuff, but I do have my days where I'm just like, oh, is it ever going to work? And then I'm like, oh, that does sound a bit negative, a bit pessimistic. But I'd like to say that mainly optimistic. I don't think I could be doing what I do if I wasn't, because with this kind of job, I guess what we're doing is you get a lot of no's. There's no's thrown at you left, right, and centre constantly, and you've got to keep going. So we have to keep optimistic.
I think Holly actually sees the beauty in everything.
Excelente. I think she is obviously right. Okay, tell me, Lakhi Singh. She's optimistic and she's obviously pessimistic and she's overall optimistic. And without that, can I ask you a question then? There is a bounce in the economy at the moment, like a jump in house prices, and I think it's all over the place. And I think Cambertel says there is a jump, but is this something that's going to last? Is it going to stay forever and ever? Or is it just merely a small positive or a glitch? Is it going to go downhill now? What's going to happen, Lakhi? Is it the quiet before the storm?
The thing is that the UK economy, I mean, Andrew Ma interviewed something, I think, last weekend. It was one of the chief economists in the UK for one of the major universities, and I think he tried to sound optimistic, but if you listen to what he said, none of it was optimistic. He said that the government's got over £1 trillion worth of debt, and the next 2 years there's going to be no growth. So what's really obscure about what he said and what's happening at the moment is that you got a bit of a storm in a teacup type situation with property prices. But if you look across the whole of the United Kingdom, look at anything else that's going on, nothing's happening. You know, everything is pretty much very tight. I mean, Debenhams is about to go into receivership. I think it may have done yesterday. Arcadia Group's about to go under. So all the retail sector is affected. But I think property prices, interest rates are likely to go up because of the overall scheme of things. So I think you just have to be extra careful that with your, with the pricing model. Don't sort of line up any capital growth or flips, because they may not happen at a certain point in time in the next 6 months, a year or so, because there's a huge state of flux. So I think that's my opinion. I don't think it's going to go very far in terms of growth anyway. So if you've got a good income strategy, you can't go too wrong.
Holly, with what Lakhi says there, I've just been listening to you. You seem very, I would say you're very astute and very versatile, because you somehow have managed to cover the fact that your assets may have lots of voids, and so you've gone to local council, and now you created a little model there for halfway houses or temporary accommodation. What is it that you think is going to happen, and are you pretty sort of like covered in terms of all your investments? Are they assets you're quite happy to hold on to and keep a yielding asset in the meantime, waiting for certainty around the corner? Because there is an uncertainty. I think we all have to agree there's a major uncertainty, because all the banks are not out of the market. They're not lending at the moment. There's no clear strategy around covert. People aren't working. I mean, you're lucky, you're blessed to have a husband who's an IT consultant or a developer, I assume. It's a developer, obviously, because you developed that wonderful flower around you called the CRM. So the point is, it's all right for him. He can work from home. He's going to get paid. But 99% of the economy, probably 99.99% of the economy, relies upon going to a fixed office and going to a high street and going into shopping malls and being behind a counter. How do you see the uncertainty, even in your pessimistic, optimistic planning?
Very much like what Lakhi was saying, in the sense that we haven't gone down the route of doing flips and buying and selling at the moment, because there's just that uncertainty of when the time comes to sell it. Even though there was a bit of a bump in price and it could have done well now, there's always that risk that it could go completely the other way. We don't have a crystal ball, but I think it's almost inevitable that there will be that risk at some point. But for us, most of our investments are about, finding something that we can hold on to for a long period of time. That's a cash flowing asset instead. So it's always providing us something a month with the rental. We, like you say, we work with people, and I just wanted to shout out actually to Easy Let Angels here in Sheffield. They are a great management agent, and they're the ones that have been able to get these contacts and everything. So they've been so good. They've worked so hard over lockdown, and they're actual angels. So that's kind of, for us, it's just keep being secure and safe. Same with when we source for other people, we always find stuff that, if they don't mind leaving a bit of money in and holding on to it for a bit, it will always benefit them.
Okay. Do you see there's going to be any downturn, though, any value write-off of any assets? Have you got any, not to ask you too much detail, but the assets you hold, are they all cash purchases? Are they on finance? And do you have a good loan to value?
Yeah, so we have good loan to values. Some of them we did bridging initially, but now they're on mortgages now. Not very big monthly payments on it, so that's good. And I think with most of our investments, it takes about 2-3 years for the money to the return on our investment to come back, if that at all. So by then, anything from thereafter is profit, which is quite nice. We always try to, because we create that value, we do that refinance and pull as much as we can out when we refinance to be able to go again. But this HMO that we're doing at the moment, with that one, we're buying it as it is. It's already filled. We don't really need to do much work to it. It's a different strategy to what we're used to, but it does cash flow, and it works even in this market. So we're prepared to leave a bit more money in on that one until we're ready to refinance or do something later on down the line.
Okay, Lakhi Singh, she seems quite clear strategy there. They've got a sort of like a midterm buying and selling strategy, which is always safe, because midterm always is regarded as the safe zone, because neither are you caught up in a short-term vacuum of the glitches, and neither are you holding on too long till you get caught up in a big cycle. But what do you feel is the key selling point of Sheffield, apart from Holly being a sweet, a CRM flowered covered property expert, I would say? What do you think is the selling point? And what should people be looking out for? You mentioned not doing flips, and you mentioned
you're cutting out a little bit, Vijay, but I'll extrapolate from what I've understood. My understanding is that Sheffield, based upon the research that Holly's done, I think it is actually the perfect hunting ground for property projects. If anything, the buying and flipping strategy, if it was to work anywhere in the United Kingdom, it's probably best to work in Sheffield, because you probably got the lowest risk, because you can buy and flip, and if you can't flip it, then you still got the yield. So you can't really go too wrong there. So I think whichever way they do it, if they did do a combination of 3 or 4 strategies, the good thing is that because it's quite low cost, they've got nothing to lose by doing a flipping strategy, as long as they stuck to quite low numbers, so they don't get their cash stuck on any one project. So because the properties are only around, £20,000-30,000, the joke, because there's such a low price, £65,000 being the average, or 60,000 for a 3-bed. If they
more like 80 to 100 now.
Prices have probably gone up. But what's happening is there's probably the barriers to entry into the market are quite low, because Sheffield, a lot of people probably wouldn't have centered their strategy around Sheffield. So in some ways they are one of the bigger fish now in the pond. So Eagle Angel's biggest customer is a bit like Marks and Spencer's, and Marks and Spencer's is Holly. Yeah. So basically, I think it's a very good place to be, doing your strategies. What the bit that would be more of a concern is really on private lets, really how sustainable they are in certain areas, because of COVID-19, I think there's going to be more of an elongated lockdown number 3, and probably February, March, April maybe. And if that happens, which I think it's likely, then the question is going to be, are you impacted? But it looks like you're not really going to be impacted because your costs are quite low, and you've got quite a good sort of business model around what you're doing. So I don't think you can go too wrong. I think so. Sheffield itself as a city, or let's say in terms of its consideration, I think it's all about understanding your local area, like understanding the business, having also the local contacts. But if you've got the local contacts, as well as the education, as well as the knowledge of really how to convert business, because you've been there now doing the battle practice for the last year, I think you're on a winner, really. So I think, thumbs up. We should do a little like a thumbs up thing, isn't it? Somebody's got the formula right, so we should do that thumbs up thing. But I did have a quick question. So where did your education, how much did you pay? And is there a particular organization or company that you recommend for people that you think is really good, that's helped them with the education?
Yeah, so we actually trained through Legacy, who are now Asset Academy. And it was quite a big payout initially. So the beginning of our journey, all our money went into the training, and we didn't have any money to buy houses. So we have had to work with investors and things like that to get us to the point that we are at today, to be able to kind of recoup all the education. But we still believe it was 100% worth it. And even on top of the fees for that, we had one-on-one mentorships. We've worked with quite a few different people that's got a lot more experience.
Who's the key person you think that really helps? I know Debbie Doran's over there. Do you work with Debbie?
Debbie, that's who we had as our 3-day mentorship.
Debbie is really good. She's meant to be coming on the show at some stage. I think we've got a schedule to come on. So,
we love Debbie. Debbie was our 3-day mentor, and we've been in touch ever since. And she's amazing.
Excelente. Right, we're down to the last few minutes before we close off for today. Holly, give us a quick 30-second soundbite. Tell us, what are you looking for 21? Where do you see the future with property and investment? And what do you have on the horizon?
Okay, well, basically we're going to be looking at bigger things, but being a bit more creative, looking at HMOs, flats, land. We're always going to be sourcing for people, and of course we're promoting the property pipeline to help other people. So yeah, if anybody wants to get in touch,
you may get a lot of help from the alternative business solution, especially for your software. It may be a good idea to try and promote yourselves a bit more there. Lakhi Singh, last 30 seconds. Neil Soha, good shout out to you. Sorry for that, missed you out for a bit. Lakhi Singh, last 30 seconds. Give us your tip. Tell us how great Sheffield is if you want. And then also we'll be looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. as usual. Lakhi Singh, last few words before we close off.
The tip is that I think, like Holly, make sure you do your homework and understand your area. There isn't really a good or a bad area, really. because it all depends on your circumstances. So if you're starting off in a low budget and you're using your education, I think Sheffield is actually like the perfect city to get your battle practice and start making money with the potentials of losses being very low. But if you've got a little bit more capital, or you're quite an experienced property person, you can't go too wrong by researching other areas, maybe bigger cities. I mean, you can even look at London. If you've got 10 or 20 million, you can always talk to me. I'm happy to spend it for you. Or if you've got more of a medium budget of a couple of 100,000,
which works out to about 20 quid. Is that right? So, Lakhi Singh, we'll have to close off. Superman, Mr. Lakhi Singh, the property fixer. We will see you tomorrow, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. And we'll let you know, Holly, when Deborah comes on, so you can actually give her a big shout out and actually come on and ask questions. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We've got people from Kenya who are trying to get onto the show as well. So we'll try and get them on next week as well. Thank you so much, Holly. Lovely person. We actually got another extra 4 hearts because of you. I'm sure they're not because of me. Definitely not because of Lakhi Singh, the property fixer. So, Holly, I would expect you to come back on again so we get all that love.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.